Okay, Amber's going to introduce our speakers. We're a little bit over time, so we're going to, Bree and Ashley said that they would stay for questions afterwards, so we're going to let them do their presentation. We're going to close down at 1, but they'll stay if you guys have questions.
All right, 2 weeks in a row we have a 2-for-1 deal, which I'm excited. Actually, Bree had said that she was bringing Ashley. Ashley is super hard to find information about, but she is part of the app project and is going to be going over that with us. And I don't think we've heard about that here in this group, so that's exciting. They're both part of JBARJ, which obviously has different programs underneath that they do. And then we have Bree here, who's their program manager, so we're excited to hear all about it.
And then, oh, you're recording there, so where's the best spot for us to be?
You're fine.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for inviting us to be here today to share about human trafficking, to share about the APP project or the anti-trafficking project. And I just want to start out by saying we really appreciate all you do for your fellow humans and your commitment to your community as well. So it was really neat to be here and to hear a little bit more about what you do as well. So thanks for your services as well. Talking about human trafficking can be sometimes emotionally difficult. Feel free to take a step out of the room if you just need a break. That's not a problem at all. So we're going to go over just kind of a 101 on what trafficking is and what it isn't, and then we'll go into the services that we offer at the APP Project. Human trafficking is a crime of exploitation, and it always involves 3 things: force, fraud, and coercion, and you'll hear those 3 words again in the presentation. 3 forms of human trafficking, that includes labor trafficking, sex trafficking, and then commercial sexual exploitation of children, or what we refer to as CSEC. So just real quickly, specifically labor trafficking, again, it's going to be the use of force, fraud, and coercion to obtain a person for labor or services. And when we're looking at our region, that's typically going to be someone trafficked on an illegal marijuana grow, which we hear more about, in the past few years. People are being trafficked like in our restaurant and hospitality, in massage parlors, so it is happening here. And then sex trafficking is what we hear more about. More of our clients are fit under the form of sex trafficking. And again, it's obtaining a person for commercial sex act. It's induced by force, fraud, or coercion, unless the person is under 18. But a commercial sex act is anything when a sex act is exchanged for something of value, and that doesn't have to be just money. It can be drugs, it can be a place to stay, it can be food. We've had youth get makeup or get their nails done, so anything of value. And then, like I said, any person under 18 cannot legally consent to sex. So anytime a minor is involved in commercial sex, right, exchanging any sex act for something of value, that's illegal, it's a crime, it's child abuse. Even if the youth thinks they're choosing this, it's still illegal and they are still being trafficked. So when we look at who is being trafficked in our community, in our region, it's typically going to be people who are already at risk and already have some vulnerabilities. When we look at both labor and sex trafficking, there's clearly, I underlined some things that are common. So someone maybe recent migration, relocation, that person is coming to our region, maybe doesn't know anyone, doesn't have a job, so they're going to be much more at risk for someone who's going to exploit them. Again, with unstable housing, under sex trafficking, runaway homeless youth, those all go together. If someone doesn't have a place to stay, right, they're going to be at risk for someone who offers a place to stay, but with some stipulations, right, and going to be at risk for exploitation. Substance abuse concerns, again, at risk if they're needing drugs, if they're and they're maybe willing to exchange sex or labor to get those drugs. So definitely more vulnerable, right? More risk. And then again, there's other issues that are going to intersect, and someone is going to be much more vulnerable. So domestic violence, systemic violence, child abuse, sexual violence, all of those things come together and make someone much more vulnerable. So then we know that there are vulnerable populations and people are more at risk to being exploited, but then who's exploiting them, right? Who are the traffickers? It can be anyone. What we see when we're working with our clients, mostly it's going to be someone they know. It's going to be a parent, it's going to be a family member, it's going to be a cousin, an uncle, it's going to be a boyfriend. And then, of course, now the trend is it's going to be an online person who's portraying themselves as, say, a 17-year-old boy. And this has happened to some of our clients. It's really a 50-year-old man in New York, right? So that's definitely happening a lot more often. So it can be anyone. That's the point. You don't know. It's anyone's. And then how are the traffickers recruiting people? So clearly they're going to exploit the vulnerabilities that we talked about. You can see they'll use false promises of a better life, deceptive promises of employment, promises of love. So anyone who's vulnerable, someone, a youth who their parents don't care about them, or that, that's how they feel, they're going to be vulnerable to someone who's going to show them some love and caring, and it's going to cause them, exploitation. And then again, family connections. Like I said, in Central Oregon, it's typically someone that they know, or someone, it could be a stranger to start with, but then through a grooming process of getting to know the person, then they'll become exploited. So it's typically not a stranger. We've been asked this many times, and you hear this, why do they stay? Why do these victims stay? Why don't they just leave the situation? Because it can be very violent. It's a horrible situation. Why don't they just leave? And the question gets asked with domestic violence as well, right? But it's very complex, and it's not as easy as just walk away, right? I think what we see, one of the things is a lack of awareness or help, and when we ask survivors, why didn't you leave? And one of the answers is, well, we didn't know there was anyone who could help us or anyone that would understand what we went through, right? They don't leave because of threats. The trafficker is threatening to harm their family or their children. Economic dependence, right? If they just walk away, where are they going to go? I mean, they have nowhere else to go. They've potentially been isolated from family and friends. They literally have nowhere to go that wouldn't put them at risk again for exploitation.
Could you speak to trauma bonding? I don't know what that means.
Sure. So trauma bonding is when the victim becomes very loyal to the trafficker. Usually there's a relationship that's built up. So there is, the trafficker is taking care of that person. They build up a relationship. And maybe in the victim's mind, the trafficker is nice to me 80% of the time. And I can handle the other 20%. This person cares for me. They show love for me. It's not always violent. They've kind of intermeshed together. And it's hard just to walk away from that relationship. It's not easy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. So there are indicators of exploitation, and just because you see 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of these, it doesn't mean someone's being exploited. But once you see multiple things going on, it's at least worth investigating further, right? And Bree is going to share about what to do if you notice signs of exploitation in someone, because there definitely are things you can do to reach out. But what we see a lot maybe is someone's controlling their finances. They're giving really inconsistent stories about where they've been, why they stayed at a hotel, you know, why they went wherever they went. They went out of state. Well, why? You know, just really inconsistent stories, and then a lot of fear and anxiety, as you can imagine, fear of their trafficker not being able to access them on their cell phone. So a lot of pieces going on. And like I said, you know, maybe one of these is happening, maybe all of them. It doesn't mean someone's being trafficked. It just means, hey, let's check into this and see what's going on. So like I said, this was a pretty brief 101 of just trafficking and trafficking in our region, but so I'm hoping as we come to these common myths of trafficking, I hope you can see why these are myths. The first one, human trafficking only involves physical restraint or kidnapping. And while this can happen, this is not the norm, this is not typical, this is the Hollywood version. We've not seen this happen. Like I said, it's typically someone they know, you know, in their mind, you know, people who are being trafficked are still going to school, adults are still going to work, it's still happening, so they're not being physically restrained, although it does happen, just not the norm. Trafficking victims will always seek help or escape. So no, that's a myth. Sometimes victims don't even know they're a victim of trafficking until we had one survivor say, I didn't know I was being trafficked till I went to my doctor, explained the situation, and my doctor said, you're being trafficked. So sometimes they don't identify as that. And then sometimes they, you know, aren't ready or don't know who to ask for help. Traffickers are always strangers. We talked about that. Nope, it's typically someone they know. Trafficking only involves crossing state or international borders, or we'll say county borders or city borders. Definitely a myth. I mean, it happens, but typically people are being trafficked in their community, potentially from their home. They're not going to different cities, different states. It's happening here. And like I said, this is the norm. Those other things do happen. Trafficking does not happen in our region. It does. And Bree will even tell you how many clients we're currently working with, so it does happen here. So the AT project, or the anti-trafficking project that we are with, is one of the programs of JBAR-J Youth Services, but we serve both adults and minors. As you can see, this is just a little screenshot of our fabulous website that, is it live? We just got it updated, so if you're interested, go to our website. It's really great, shows all of our services. But so we are voluntary, free, and confidential. We get most of our referrals from law enforcement, from child welfare, ODHS, from detention, juvenile detention centers. We get them from other JBAR-J programs, the Loft, Grandma's House. And so, but someone has to choose to work with us. We don't force anyone to work with us. Someone can work with us for 1 month, for a year. You know, it's up to the person. We're definitely person-centered. It's their choice. They direct what services they need and what they want help with. So the reason that we're able to collaborate with the other agencies is we are the lead agency in the region of the Anti-Trafficking Alliance of Central Oregon. So I'm the coordinator of the task force, and it's a multidisciplinary task force, and it's made up of, you know, law enforcement. We've got the DA's office, schools, mental health services, and it's just a way for our task force to be able to provide a coordinated response when a trafficking victim is identified anywhere in the region. You know, we can all come together and figure out what services and how to help that individual. I'm going to turn it over to Bree now.
Awesome. Just so you know, we do offer a full 1 hour long presentation on human trafficking, so that was a very abbreviated version because I know we don't have a whole lot of time today. But as far as our services, so we really are a client-centered program. So what that means is we work with clients and whatever way that they feel is the best for them. So we can offer suggestions, choices, ideas, but really they get to be the ultimate decider on what they are going to do with their life. But things that we do help support with is navigation of like crisis intervention services. So that could be finding a safe place to stay in the immediate time, hotel stays, basic necessities, finding travel to maybe get somewhere safe, like back home, if that is a safe place to go, maybe getting them to a shelter or crisis intervention place. And then we also do long-term case management. So clients can work with us basically as long as they are wanting support. So we've worked with people who we worked for like a day or two, helping to stabilize them, get them somewhere safe. Or I have a client that I've worked with for over 6 years. So we're still working with them. Being trafficked has so much trauma that is involved, so it does take a long time to help them find that healing support. So we're going to be there every step of the way in helping them do that. Things that we offer the community. So like I said, we do trainings for the community. We also do lots of consultation. So we'll work with other agencies to help develop protocols, do more kind of in-depth training on the specific populations that they might serve. So if you're working with like child welfare, we might do some more specific training of what they might see in that situation. We screen. We do a screening tool with over, I think it's 11 programs, including the juvenile detention centers, just to be able to look for signs of exploitation in youth victims. And that's where a lot of our referrals come from, because a lot of people don't even know that they're being trafficked until we, as the adults, are able to identify it. Do resource distribution, collaborate with lots of community partners, do outreach. And then we're also the local responder for the National Human Trafficking Hotline. So if you suspect somebody's being trafficked or need some resources and help, and they think that a direct response is needed, they call us, and then we'll go out and respond for that. So far in 2023, we've served 86 clients in Central Oregon, so that's Deschutes, Crook, Jefferson County. A lot of people don't believe that trafficking happens here, but from the numbers that we're seeing, we are serving a lot of individuals in our community, and I expect that's going to go up just because our program's gotten a lot bigger. We are doing a lot more awareness and trainings and things like that. And so the more that we identify, just kind of the more resources that we need to be able to provide. From October 2020 to 2022, we served 122 individuals plus 39 family members. So we also do a lot of support with the family to help, if that's a safe place for somebody to be, we also want to support that family. So that could be getting stable with housing, being able to kind of identify and help them address those vulnerabilities. We are about 50-50 on working with adults and youth when you look at our numbers. So a lot of our clients are underage or are minors, and then we do work with a lot of clients who are kind of between the age of 18 and 24, but we also work with people older than that as well. And then just kind of wanted to draw some attention to our minor victims or the CSEC cases. 58% of our cases with minor youth directly involved unsafe internet use. We're seeing that especially from COVID. The amount of time kids spend on their screens, our screen time has gone up exponentially, and so we are seeing a lot of youth that are exploited that way. We also know that people and youth who run away frequently, when they run away, it's, I can't remember the statistic, but like 1 in 4 youth who run away will be approached within the first 3 days of running by their trafficker. So we do really pay attention to our runaway and homeless youth population. And then 58% of these cases involve minors who have been unhoused at some point or had met their trafficker while they were unhoused. Do you want to share a success story?
Yeah, how much time do we have left?
Oh, it is 1 o'clock right now.
Why don't you share that story and then we'll end there? Is that okay?
Yeah. Well, one of the youth, and so this is not the typical success story because this youth is still in a trafficking situation, but it's someone that I started working with when they were 17. They ended up running away, had an unstable family situation, ran away, we assume, to Portland, did get involved in a trafficking situation, but this youth, because I was able to build rapport with her while she was still in the area, she still reaches out to me, and I've still been able to help her connect with services wherever she is, or the national hotline. I've gotten her an emergency hotel stay just to get her out of a really bad situation. So sometimes it doesn't end like we want it to end, but I think a great thing about our program is that we stick with people and that the individuals know that we're there for them no matter what. We'll skip really quickly through just to give you our
This is just our information. If you ever have any concerns about somebody, we always are happy to just even talk through a situation. If you suspect that something's happening, I'm always happy to kind of go through that. You can also make a referral at our website at the Get Help tab, and we can call you guys back and just kind of walk through what supports we might be able to offer. You can also call the National Human Trafficking Hotline. Like I said, that does come back to us if they think that a direct response is needed by us. And then just remember, child sex trafficking is child abuse and does need to be reported if you are a mandatory reporter. So we do have to make reports for that. And then we are always in need of kind of basic necessities, so like food, clothing, basic hygiene things, gas cards, anything like that to support clients. We do, a lot of help supporting them through all those stages of life, and so it is always a need that we have. And we'll end with a quote. It's not enough to be compassionate, you must act. And it seems like this group, I really appreciated all the positive comments earlier, and so it does seem like that you guys are doing a lot and actually acting in our community. Okay, and I'll put up our Sorry, that was really
Well, we have a little gift for you guys, and we apologize for rushing you through today. There's so much great information. So I'd encourage everybody to stay if you have some questions, and also get on the website to learn more about their programs and how you can help. And here's a gift for you. These are handmade.
Oh,
Thank for the Kiwanis. Just take a little picture.
I can't believe.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yes.
You shouldn't be surprised.
And in honor of our guest today,
The only reason he was ever successful is he.
dare to enter the darkness to bring another into the light. Tori Kerwin, Destiny Rescue founder and international president.
And he's got these special gifts. Overweight. Anyway, I wouldn't hire him. I wouldn't hire him for any amount of money as my head coach.